So the NBA polls are in, and one of the really interesting ones that I saw was favorite non-NBA athlete. And this is just a really, really interesting one because I would have expected to see a whole bunch of like NFL players up the top. I would expect to see a whole ton of them. But like, if you look at the top of this list, you've got Lamar Jackson, who is top on 13%. And then you have got Caitlin Clark. Like, if you look at at the list of all the players that got more than one vote, there's 115 votes, 1.7%, I think, is 2 votes, if I'm not mistaken. So the rest of them, all the ones at the bottom, are receiving 1 vote. So you guys can see, in the like top receiving 2 votes is Juju Watkins, Angel Reese, and Caitlin Clark, which is crazy. It just shows how popular women's college basketball was. It shows how popular that was. Because like, if you look at the bottom, you can see some WNBA players. Like Sabrina Ionescu got a vote. Caitlin Clark got a vote. You're looking at obviously Asia Wilson got a vote. I definitely missed out on. I could have well missed out on at least one. But again, it's crazy. It's crazy like that you're now seeing the growth of that as a sport. You're now seeing like how big that's gonna be, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited. Like, this isn't like a video breaking down anything, but I'm really excited because, again, I don't really talk much on this channel, but I love the sport of basketball, and there is a big issue with me, obviously, is that I'm really busy throughout the year. I can't really watch that much because of where I'm from, the hour differences. During the summer is mainly when I can watch basketball, which is why I probably watch as much Summer League. I'll watch all the Olympics. I'll watch as much Summer League as I do actual NBA. But now, I can watch something better than Summer League. I don't need to watch Donovan Clingan and a bunch of players I'll never see again. And I'm no longer going to be the strange person that watches the WNBA. Like, I was in London, or in New York, with another 2K YouTuber named Killsamoy, and I bought like a WNBA hoodie, and the cashier was shocked that I had bought it, and I spent like 5 minutes just talking to her about it, because it was right around the time the Aces were about to face the Liberty. Was just literally talking to her about who she thought was going to win in that series. Obviously, being in New York, she thought it was the Liberty. It was always going to be the Aces. But yeah, it's going to be a fun year. And you can see even with this, like 6.1%, what's that, 7 people? 7? 8 or 8? Say Caitlin Clark. And that's fine. Like, Caitlin Clark is the most interesting one to watch. But like, you go again into the bottom of that, you've got a freshman in Juju Watkins. As well as that, like, you're acting like the original like super hyped up of these players was Paige Beckers. And before Paige Beckers tore her ACL, like, she was the most hyped in that class. And then obviously Caitlin Clark had that game, can't remember who it was against, where she basically nearly willed a like 20-point comeback in the last 3 minutes, shooting step back deep threes, and then obviously beating South Carolina. But it is a great thing for the sport. It's a great thing for the sport that, and it's not forced. Like, a lot of people are going to be like, I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, just bandwagon fans. You want bandwagon fans. You want bandwagon fans. Like, as much as you would like you to be this like niche real follower of everything, when the bandwagon fans jump on, you know something good has happened. When people start talking about the sport in a barbershop talk way, where it's not analysis, where it is just literally talking about sport in that way, which they did about college basketball. All this legacy crap, all this like, they're basically treating Clark like she was Michael or she was LeBron before he went into the NBA. Like, when it becomes that narrative, when the narrative moves from, when people are still talking about the sport outside of the 40 minutes that the games are on for, that's when you know the sport is like progressing. Because like, that's the thing, is like, I've always said it, as big as watching the games, because there's a lot of people that don't watch the full games because it's just too hard to watch full games when it comes to basketball. It's a lot easier to do in like soccer because it's one game a week. You just basically have your Saturday, you watch match of the day afterwards, or you watch all the games. Like, it's not that hard to do to keep up with that sport, but there's just too many games in basketball. There's too many games in every non-European league in basketball. Even European league is probably too much if your team's playing in a European competition like the Champions League or Euro Cup or EuroLeague. But when the sport becomes a case of even people that don't watch full games become talking about the sport's in a really good spot. And I don't know how anyone can be annoyed at this. Like, if you're a basketball fan, this is great. Like, one thing I don't understand is, like, I actually get the whole being against, say, when there are some people in the WNBA that were basically saying, we aren't getting views, we want more money, but we're not going to change up anything we're doing to get more views. Like that, I get being frustrated at that. And like, because that's literally just like being in a job. Imagine if your company's not making money and going, I want a raise, which is completely reasonable. And they're like, okay, yeah, but if you get a raise, you have to do X, Y, and Z to be more productive. It's like, nah, not doing that. Like, I kind of get where that's coming from. But now there's going to be eyes on the sport. And if you're a basketball fan, that's surely better. Because, I'm sorry, like, you couldn't have watched. And I'm not only saying this because of the one player, but the one player being a catalyst for more can happen. Like, a lot of people started watching women's college basketball because of the finals last year. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers, who were unbelievable. Then LSU came back with Hailey Van Lith this year. We're expected to destroy everybody. Probably not the greatest run in up to the not the greatest year up to the tournament. And then we got LSU versus Iowa early. Played on the same night as Paige Beckers versus Juju Watkins right afterwards, which was a game of equal level. Two teams equally as good as LSU and what's her name, and Iowa. And then you've got a player in Juju who I think is going to be the best of all of them. You've got Paige Beckers, who I don't think is as good as Clark, but was almost Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark, playing in that game. And then suddenly UConn is playing against Iowa, which is as big as anything. And then people at the same time are then watching South Carolina go and destroy NC State. And you've then got the final of the undefeated, nearly invincible South Carolina team versus Caitlin Clark, the only the only team that had beaten South Carolina in years. So that narrative was there, and people were excited about it. People were watching games that Caitlin Clark wasn't playing in and were happy. So it's not just her, but she's going to bring eyes to the league. And you can see here the NBA players are already listing Caitlin Clark as their favorite athlete. And there is scope for the WNBA to become the second most popular, most viewed basketball league in the world. There's scope for that, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. There's no reason why, as basketball fans, when the NBA Finals finishes, instead of saying, oh, there's no basketball on, we have 3 months without basketball, there's no reason why NBA fans shouldn't just use the summer to watch the WNBA, because it's basketball. Is it as exciting and as high-flying as the NBA? No. But you know what? It's been shown over the last number of years that there are two real ways to build excitement in basketball. It's the dunk and it's the three-pointer. It is that fast-paced, run-and-gun, shoot-it style of play that Steph Curry popularized. One of them will never happen in WNBA. The other is coming in and coming quick. Because you better believe that it's not going to happen immediately. This year might be like this anomaly, a highly viewed year, and it might go back down to normal. But it's coming. There's going to be another Clark. There's going to be other players that can compete. And every year that women's college basketball continues on this run, which I think it's going to continue because there are narratives. There is the Paige Beckers narrative next year. Juju's still there. So these people are still there. Whoever the next freshman sensation is, people are talking about Hailey Van Lith, where she's transferring. So women's college basketball is there to stay. That is there to stay. That's not going anywhere. And the relevance of that's not going anywhere. But the players gaining huge popularity from that, now playing in the WNBA, it's now got more and more like big names. Most WNBA bandwagoners who are realistically going to be very few people watch it in the past. New people coming in It's nothing wrong with it. Probably didn't know who AJ Wilson was. Probably didn't know who Breanna Stewart was. Probably only knew who Brittany Griner was because of Russia. Probably only knows who Sabrina Ionescu is because of the 3-point shootout in her shoe. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a new fan coming in and liking their players. And not knowing the players, being a fan of one player and then becoming a fan of the league over time. Nothing wrong with that. There's NBA players that are only fans. NBA fans are only fans of a couple of players. But still, this is a surprising result. And it's important. It's an important thing to see, and it's good to see it.